I'm back. Today we're talking about the newest knit on my needles, which is Nietzsche's gay science. Let's talk about it. I have not been on YouTube, and that's because I was having a mental health crisis. I know. Turns out I needed a second medication. A medication, Wellbutrin. Fun story. I tried Wellbutrin like years ago and had a bit of a psychotic break. Mostly just psychosis, but the first time you really have psychosis, it's upsetting and you don't know what's happening. So that was a little wild, but I made it through that, and I worked up the courage to try it again, but this time with Lexapro, and I'm a lot healthier now than I was when I had that issue. I stopped smoking, which I know some of you could be like, that's so gross. Yeah, well, I grew up in a trailer park and my life was very bad for many years, and then stopped smoking after like 15 years. No joke. I work out, I'm eating healthier, blah, blah, blah. Definitely in no way do I want to be a health guru or promote anything about weight loss or anything like that, so don't worry. Just some life updates, basically trying to take care of myself better because I can't knit if I'm, and I can't knit if I'm sick. So that's kind of my inspiration, if you will. Try to post twice a week to YouTube. I'm gonna try so hard for you guys. I am. Obviously they're gonna be shorter, which I think is fine. I don't think most people's attention span is very long. I know mine isn't, but I'm really, really bad at editing, and I have to get better. The only way to do something good is to do it more, and that's what we're doing. I think it'd be kind of cool to be monetized. Maybe I could work less in my actual job, but that's like a super big goal. And until that happens, we got to put in the work, and that's what we're here for today. So let's talk about it. This is my favorite book by Nietzsche in the whole world. Now you're probably thinking that's not how you say it. If you have heard it just like anecdotally, it's most people say Nietzsche, and they're like, Nietzsche, existentialism, you believe in nothing. That's like the pop culture version of it, which is like not really true at all, but I get it because it's like not a lot of people in this world are like, I just want to start reading philosophy, but some of us do, and that's probably why you're still watching this. I'm going to recommend you all to go watch Horse's YouTube video. I'll put a picture here and link it down below. It is the best, the most wonderful YouTube video. I have watched it several times, and he does such a good job of talking about the more problematic elements of Nietzsche, his life story, and kind of like getting a better ethos of what his whole thing was versus the kind of boiled down version that we're used to from social media and stuff. I'll launch into this. I will say I don't agree with everything that Nietzsche said. He had a very poor view of women, and his discussions of various ethnic and racial groups was pathetic, frankly. He didn't do a good job at that. He seemed to do really well at everything else but that. And those things are inexcusable, obviously. But when we are looking at somebody from the past, we don't have to excuse those things whatsoever. In fact, we can bring them to light. And you can even use some of Nietzsche's own arguments to dispel his more problematic writing. The thing is the potential association with Nietzsche as a member of the Nazi group or writing for the Nazi group. And if you go to the Horse's video, as well as other writing, especially some of the forward of this, you will learn that that was not true. After his death, his sister actually took a lot of his writing and used it to promote Nazism. Priorly, Nietzsche had even kind of dispelled his own feelings towards Nazism as it kind of continued to rise. His early relationship with Schopenhauer was probably the biggest reason people kind of leaned in towards that. And while I may not say that his values reflect our modern day values, thinking of Nietzsche as a Nazi is just not correct. What I love about Nietzsche is he's straight to the point and he deconstructs everything. Now, is that always true? Is it always correct way to do things? Probably not. But out of all the philosophers that I've read, this one makes me feel the best. This one has brought me out of depths of absolute despair. In the worst moments, I will pick up this book and read it just anywhere. Like some people are like flip through the Bible. I do that with this, and I find things that kind of give me perspective. As someone with a neurodiverse brain, I need that, and this helps my ability to see the world better. I may not like all of it, I may not agree with all of it, but it challenges my way of thinking and also allows me to have time to think of counter arguments. And I think that's a really important thing to do, to continually grow yourself, grow your brain, and to be more well-read and able to interact with people on a more kind of linguistically diverse setting. That being said, why did I decide to knit, the cover? Let's take a look. This is where we're at. I think I picked the font pretty well. You can't really see it right now because it's the way it is, but I will put a picture up here. But this is an Arial Narrow, so I think I did a pretty good job on that. Let's take a look at the back. That's a pretty good float, I will say. Color match, I think we're doing pretty good. We're probably about halfway. So right about here, I'm gonna start the shoulder decreases. So it comes in like this, whoop, and then it's got a scoop, a hole for your neck, and that's where the collar goes. And then you repeat that exactly for the back. I'm not doing any bust or waist shaping. I like my jumpers to be just like straightforward. I don't need all that. Sleeves, regular schmegular. I will probably do a colored collar, although I'm not totally sure. I'm thinking red, but we will see. I don't want it to overpower an already fairly colorful piece, and I think the sleeves will just be black as well, so that the back of the sweater will be the back of the book, but I'm not going to do it in white because I don't want to. That's it. It's going to have the barcode though, and just some, regular lines to indicate text. So nothing super fancy, but enough to kind of keep me actually interested in making the back, because if I just make a plain back, it will take me forever. So the sleeves are already going to take forever, so that's what we're going to do. This is all so far scrap yarn, which I'm pretty happy about. I did have to get some more black because I used tons of black and I ran out of it, so I got some more of that, especially because the back of it will be all black, and the sleeves, so we're going to need more of that. But so far this has all been colors I've already had, which makes me very happy. I like to be as frugal with my yarn as I can, not just like going out and buying expensive yarn. Even if I had a ton of money, that's not a sustainable thing to do, so this is where we are right now. A simple 1x1 ribbing at the bottom. Obviously, it's not blocked. And I'm not going to weave my ends in yet. I like to weave them in after I block, because with intarsia, I have noticed that sometimes the blocking process will stretch out your woven end ends. And I like to do it after, when the fabric is kind of where I want it to be, so that way I know exactly, how much to weave in appropriately. It's kind of a mess and annoying, but for me it works best because I've had it before where I didn't leave enough of the tail on the woven end. I blocked it
and it came apart.
And you can fix it, but better safe than sorry. The whole inspiration from this really came because I have been reading so much more. I had a bit of a break from work, but I'm going to continue, even though I'm going back to work tomorrow. And the Kindle is my newest little baby. But so far, I think I've read 6 books in this week, and maybe about 25 this year. So not a ton, but enough. I've liked most all of them. And reading while knitting is my favorite thing to do in the world. With complex knitting like this, I'm not really reading as much, but with like just blank stockinette, like the sleeves, we'll be reading while we do that. And so my increased focus on reading, as well as my obsession with the gay science, kind of just led me to the natural process, which was to knit a sweater of the book. Part of it as well was because my partner said, why don't you, I was kind of in a stuck bad mood. He was like, why don't you knit your favorite book? And I was like, oh my God, how do you pick a favorite book? And while I don't know what my favorite book is, I do know the one that has impacted me the most this year. And the colors are good. This is a good type to replicate on Stitch Fiddle, and that's what I've been doing. A lot of people are like, how do you stay interested because you're knitting flat, which is knit and purl. People hate purl stitches. That's to knit so much of it that you forget that it's easier to knit in the round. When you're knitting as much as I do flat, you don't even think about the other option because you're not doing it. Another thing is, I get so bored knitting in the round. It's the same thing over and over. And Fair Isle is a good alternative to that, but even then it's a repeat, and I really need my brain needs something different like every row. And yeah, that's why I do it. And you just get used to it. It's like anything in life, you do it enough, you're used to it. And so that's where we are. It's way too hot to even wear this year, but of course I will show it to you guys when it's finished. And you know, when the fall gets here, I'll have a great little sweater to wear, do some cool photo shoots with the book. I hope this reaches all of my philosophy nerds. Anybody who's picked up philosophy later in life, welcome. I definitely, if you're like kind of interested, I recommend getting into the gay science. I think it's a pretty good entryway. It's more easier than like the spoke Zarathustra. That one's a little more dense. If you're looking into Hegel or Heidegger, very dense. So I think Nietzsche's writing is just like it's perfect. That's like a little bite of interestingness every time. But that is all for today. I will see you again soon, talking about different projects, hopefully. And also, you know, when this is finished, I will show the finished product to you. Don't think it'll take me too long. I think it'll probably take me a couple of weeks at the most. You know, just depending on if I lose interest or not. And if I do, then I will try to keep pushing myself because, you know, it's one of those years where things just don't make sense. And sometimes all you can do is just focus on what you can focus on, you know? Leave suggestions down below for books or other things that I should read. I'm a big horror fan, big sci-fi, psychological horror. If you combine all those things, it's perfect. The Area X series is like my favorite. So things similar to that make me very happy. But I'm always interested to root out, to do some more lit fic. I love experimental fiction, so things like that. And if you guys are interested, maybe I'll do what I've read so far in the year. I know some people don't like those, but what can I say? I have illnesses, and reading is something I do a lot of, no matter where I'm at. So until then, I will see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this talk, and I hope that you guys feel inspired to knit something that makes you happy too.